Have you ever felt like you can't trust your own decisions? That you doubt yourself before making any move, second-guessing every choice, even the smallest ones? It's a constant inner battle, the feeling that no matter what you decide, it's never quite right. The self-doubt creeps in, telling you that you're not capable, that you're not enough, or that you don't have all the answers. This struggle with self-trust is something so many people face, and it often feels like you're lost in a sea of endless questioning. Every decision feels like a risk. Every move feels uncertain. The worst part? The longer you wait to trust yourself, the more paralyzed you become. Career decisions, relationships, personal growth, every area of your life can be affected by this lack of trust in your own judgment. The question is, where does this lack of trust come from? Why do we doubt ourselves so much, even when we have the wisdom and capability to make choices that are true to who we are? Why is it that we often turn to everyone else for validation, but can't seem to turn inward for our own? The truth is, self-trust isn't about making perfect decisions. It's not about always getting everything right or avoiding mistakes. As Epictetus wisely put it, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. In the same way, self-trust isn't found in perfection. It's found in clarity, knowing what you truly want, and having the courage to act in alignment with that, without overthinking or fearing judgment. At its core, self-trust is the confidence to navigate life, not with an obsession over perfection, but with a deep belief in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. It's not about avoiding mistakes, but about choosing to trust yourself enough to make decisions, and knowing that you can learn from whatever outcome arises. But before we can start rebuilding self-trust, it's important to understand why so many of us struggle with it in the first place. Why do we often doubt ourselves, even when we've succeeded before? Self-doubt isn't something you're born with. It's something that develops over time. It starts in childhood. Maybe a teacher told you your ideas weren't good enough, or you were taught that you had to be perfect to be loved. These small moments, though they seem harmless at first, accumulate and shape the fear you carry within. You start to doubt your abilities. You question your decisions. Am I good enough? That question keeps repeating, doesn't it? But it doesn't come from nowhere. It's rooted in past experiences and unresolved trauma. Think about a time when you tried something new. Maybe it was a job interview, a public speaking event, or even asking someone out. You practiced for days, yet, as soon as it was time to perform, self-doubt crept in. You were afraid you'd make a mistake. You wondered what people would think of you. Even though you were prepared, your mind still felt unsteady. That's the lingering impact of past experiences and the fear they create. When we experience failure, the mind doesn't just forget it. It stores that memory. It stores the pain of being rejected or failing. It doesn't trust that we can handle those emotions again. So, it whispers, maybe you shouldn't try again. Maybe you're not cut out for this. The more you avoid, the more that doubt grows. It becomes part of your narrative. Neuroscience tells us that our brains are wired to seek approval and avoid failure. From a young age, we're taught that being wrong can bring consequences. Our brains pick up on that. It learns that approval is important. So, we begin to doubt our choices because we're always trying to predict how others will react. We overthink, we analyze, we second-guess, all to avoid the discomfort of rejection or failure. But the more we avoid, the deeper the doubt. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "Self-trust is the first secret of success." But how can you trust yourself if you've been taught not to? If society constantly pushes you to look outward for answers, how do you learn to look inward? The truth is, self-trust starts with self-awareness. You can't trust yourself until you know yourself. Until you stop letting past failures and other people's judgments dictate your every move. Emerson understood this. Without trust in yourself, you're forever at the mercy of others' opinions. Self-doubt is not about your lack of ability. It's about not trusting your ability because you've been conditioned to believe that you need others' approval to be worthy. But the first step toward change is realizing that self-trust is the key. Once you recognize this, you can begin to move past the fear, past the doubt, and step into a more confident version of yourself. While our past experiences lay the foundation for self-doubt, it's society's influence that magnifies it. let's take a deeper look at how external pressures shape our ability to trust ourselves. You've probably felt it, the pressure to be someone you're not, to fit in, instead of truly belonging. That constant comparison to others makes you feel like you're never doing enough, never being enough. Society constantly tells you how to look, what to wear, who to be. You begin to measure your worth by how others see you, and in doing so, your trust in your own judgment slowly fades away. From a young age, we're conditioned to believe that belonging is about meeting external standards. Family, peers, and even social media push us toward perfection. We're taught that success is defined by comparison. Whether it's in your career, relationships, or personal achievements, you start questioning, am I doing it right? Am I enough compared to them? This social conditioning leaves you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt. You start to doubt your choices because they don't match the picture of success that society constantly flashes in front of you. Every time someone gets a promotion, buys a bigger house, or posts a happy moment online, you feel behind. The problem? The fear of judgment keeps you from trusting yourself. It distracts you from your true desires, making you chase what others think is right, instead of what feels right for you. This also connects to something called imposter syndrome. Despite achievements, you feel like you don't deserve success, as if you're constantly faking it. You've been told that success should look a certain way, and yet, when you achieve it, it doesn't feel real. You feel like you're not worthy. You ask yourself, do I truly belong here? Am I just fooling everyone? Even when you've worked hard, succeeded, and earned your place, imposter syndrome whispers in your ear, this isn't real, you're not enough. It's the fear of being exposed that makes you second-guess yourself, your decisions, and even your worth. This feeling of inadequacy undermines your ability to trust your choices, making you feel like you're not capable of handling future decisions, even if you've done it before. Brené Brown explains it best when she says, "The opposite of belonging is fitting in." Society tells us that belonging is about blending in, molding ourselves to fit the standards. But real belonging and real self-trust comes when you stop trying to fit in and start embracing who you truly are, no matter what others might think. The problem is we often give our ego too much power. We let our ego convince us that our worth is tied to external approval. This is where Marcus Aurelius's wisdom in Meditations speaks volumes. The opinion of others is irrelevant to your happiness. Yet, how many times do we base our decisions on how others will perceive us? How often do we suppress our true selves to avoid judgment, even when we know it's not what we truly want? The truth, you'll never be able to trust yourself if you're constantly looking to others for validation. When you prioritize external opinions over your own inner voice, you lose touch with what you actually need. Self-trust doesn't come from conforming to what others expect. It comes from being honest with yourself about what you want and what's best for you. But here's where things get tricky. Society's pressures don't just influence our actions, they feed into something much deeper, the ego. And the ego plays a huge role in keeping us from trusting ourselves. The ego is a master storyteller. It spins tales that protect you from failure, vulnerability, and judgment. But the irony is, these very stories keep you stuck. The more you listen, the less you trust yourself. Think about it. How often have you held back from doing something because your ego convinced you it would fail? The voice in your head says, you might look foolish, people might criticize you, it's safer to stay in your comfort zone. And so, you stop yourself. You overthink, you second guess, you avoid. Why? Because the ego equates failure with danger. It sees vulnerability as weakness, not as an opportunity for growth. It tells you, play it safe, don't take risks, you're better off being invisible. But here's the deeper issue. When you let the ego control your actions, you start to seek external validation. Instead of trusting your own decisions, you begin measuring your worth by how others perceive you. This need for approval doesn't build self-trust, it builds dependence on other people's opinions. Let's take an example from personal relationships. Maybe you've been in a situation where you avoided having an honest conversation because you feared how the other person would react. The ego tells you, if you say what you really feel, they might get angry, they might leave you. So, you keep quiet. You avoid the discomfort, the vulnerability, and ultimately you stop trusting yourself to handle the situation. You're more concerned about how they will react than what your true feelings are. This constant need for approval erodes self-trust because it keeps you from acting in line with your own values. The ego tells you that if you fit the mold, if you keep others happy, you'll be safe. But this doesn't make you stronger, it keeps you small. This is where Carl Jung's concept of the shadow comes in. The shadow is the part of you that you refuse to acknowledge, the anger you hide, the insecurity you suppress, the unhealed wounds that you've buried. But Jung believed the shadow doesn't just disappear when ignored. It shapes your behavior from the unconscious. Every time you avoid looking at these parts of yourself, you lose touch with your true essence. And that undermines your self-trust. You may think you're protecting yourself by avoiding these parts, but in truth, you're out of alignment with who you really are. The ego convinces you that you need to keep these shadows hidden, but every time you do, you lose confidence in your ability to make decisions that truly reflect your authentic self. The ego also feeds into overthinking. Instead of trusting your intuition, your mind runs in circles. You replay conversations, imagine worst-case scenarios, and get lost in what-ifs. But overthinking isn't solving problems. It's a defense mechanism created by the ego. The ego wants to keep you in a state of uncertainty, where you feel safe, but you're actually paralyzed, unable to move forward. In contrast, Lao Tzu, in the Tao Te Ching, teaches the power of non-attachment. He says, "He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough." Non-attachment isn't about withdrawing from life. It's about not clinging to certainty. It's about embracing uncertainty and trusting that whatever happens, you can handle it. When you stop clinging to control, you begin to trust yourself more. The real work is in letting go. Let go of the stories your ego tells you. Let go of the constant need for approval. Let go of the parts of yourself you've been suppressing. Only when you stop avoiding the truth will you reconnect with your authentic self. And only then can you truly begin to trust the voice within. Now that we've explored how the ego sabotages our self-trust, it's time to shift the focus. How can we rebuild that trust? What steps can we take to reconnect with our inner voice and start trusting ourselves again? Rebuilding self-trust doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey that requires a shift in how you relate to yourself, the world, and the decisions you make. The good news? You already have everything you need inside of you to start this process. It all begins with a simple but powerful practice, mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just about sitting in silence for an hour a day. It's about reconnecting with the present moment, focusing on the here and now. How often do you find yourself lost in the future, worrying about what might go wrong, or stuck in the past, reliving moments of failure? That mental clutter keeps you from trusting your instincts because your mind is busy replaying what could happen, rather than listening to what's happening in the moment. By practicing mindfulness, you can silence that noise. You can start to trust the present moment, and through that, trust yourself. When your thoughts settle, you'll hear your true voice, not the noise of doubt or the voices of others. Mindfulness allows you to be present with your choices, instead of overthinking them. But mindfulness alone isn't enough. Self-compassion is key to the process. Think about how you treat a friend who's struggling. You would never call them stupid or tell them they're unworthy for making a mistake. Yet how often do we treat ourselves with harsh judgment when we fall short? Kristin Neff, a leading expert on self-compassion, explains that true growth comes from treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a close friend. You're human. You make mistakes, but those mistakes don't define you. Self-compassion allows you to accept yourself, imperfections, and all, without the need for validation from the outside world. Instead of criticizing yourself for every misstep, practice kindness. When you show compassion to yourself, you begin to trust that you can handle whatever comes your way, even when you're not perfect. It's also important to focus on action over perfection. Many of us believe that we have to get everything right before we can move forward. We wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, and as a result, we get stuck. But here's the truth: perfection is an illusion. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it." This is a powerful reminder. You don't need everything to be perfect. What matters is how you act. It's about taking the next step, even if it's not the perfect step. Imperfect action is essential to regaining your trust. By doing, by trying, by learning through experience, you build confidence in yourself. You realize that mistakes are just lessons, not failures. And through this, you reconnect with the trust you lost. Journaling and self-reflection are also invaluable on this journey. Writing down your thoughts allows you to process them. You get out of your head and onto paper the thoughts that keep you stuck. Journaling helps you reflect on past decisions, both the ones you're proud of and the ones you regret. By writing down your thoughts, you begin to see patterns, where you trusted yourself and where you didn't. This self-awareness gives you a clearer understanding of who you are and what you truly need, not what society tells you to need. As Epictetus wisely stated, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Trusting yourself isn't about achieving everything or meeting everyone's expectations. It's about living in alignment with what you truly need, with the values that make you feel whole, and acting in a way that reflects your authentic self. In rebuilding self-trust, making your own decisions is crucial. Whether it's choosing what to wear, how to spend your time, or how to handle a situation, trusting yourself means learning to act without constantly checking with others first. It's not about disregarding others' opinions, it's about relying on your own judgment. The more you make decisions, big or small, and accept whatever outcome arises, the stronger your self-trust becomes. With time, you'll realize that trusting yourself isn't about always being right. It's about being okay with the uncertainty and knowing that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. Self-doubt often comes from negative thinking patterns. It's essential to challenge those negative thoughts. So when your mind tells you, "I can't do this," or "I'm not good enough," pause and ask yourself, is this thought based on fact or fear? These thoughts are often rooted in anxiety, not reality. By recognizing the difference, you can start to replace them with more empowering and rational thoughts. For example, instead of thinking, "I'll fail," try thinking, "I might fail, but I'll learn from it and grow stronger." This shift in mindset helps you realize that mistakes don't define you, they're opportunities to learn. And this new perspective naturally leads to taking responsibility for your actions, which is a vital step in rebuilding self-trust. When you stop blaming others or external circumstances, you'll start to see that taking responsibility for your actions is an important part of rebuilding self-trust. Own your decisions, both the wins and the mistakes. Every time you take responsibility, you're reminding yourself that you're in control of your life. Whether you succeed or fail, it's not about perfection. It's about knowing that you are the one who gets to steer the ship. And that's empowering. Celebrating your wins and learning from your losses creates a sense of mastery over your decisions. But it's not just about what you do on your own. The people around you also play a crucial role in rebuilding self-trust. If you're constantly surrounded by people who undermine your confidence or make you doubt yourself, your journey to self-trust will be harder. It's essential to find relationships that support and encourage your growth, relationships where you can be authentic without fearing judgment. The right support system acts as a mirror, reflecting back your true worth and reminding you that you are enough, even when you don't feel like it. Yet, no matter how supportive your environment is, rebuilding self-trust is a gradual process, and patience is key. It won't happen overnight, and there will be moments when self-doubt creeps in again. And that's okay. The goal isn't to eliminate doubt entirely, but to keep showing up, even when it feels tough. Every small action you take, whether journaling your thoughts, making decisions without seeking approval, or practicing mindfulness, helps build the foundation for a stronger relationship with yourself. Consistency is key to making lasting progress. And as you continue on this journey, remember that self-trust isn't something given to you by others. It's something that comes from within. It's an inner strength that's always been there, waiting to be rediscovered. You have the power to trust yourself, and with each small step, that power becomes clearer. Every decision you make, without seeking validation from others, every time you choose to trust your instincts over your fears, you're actively rebuilding that trust. Epictetus once said, "You are a little soul carrying around a corpse." This powerful reminder calls us back to our inner wisdom. It invites us to reconnect with our true selves, free from the weight of external expectations and the fear of judgment. Your true self, the one that trusts its own voice, is waiting for you to show up. It's there, inside you, not buried under the noise of others' opinions, but ready to be rediscovered. So let me ask you, what's one thing you've been doubting yourself about? How can you begin to trust yourself in this very moment? If this message stirred something in you, If it helped you reconnect with your inner strength and start trusting yourself more, drop this in the comments. I am ready to trust myself. If this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. This space is just getting started.